Shifting the wrist angle on rows and pull-downs. Many lifters believe that curling the wrists at the peak of a pull-down or row creates a stronger contraction. They repeat these common lifting habits every workout without realizing they hurt their joints. But the biological reality is different. Curling the wrists does not increase lat activation by a single %. Instead, it shifts the mechanical load directly to the wrist flexor tendons. Under heavy resistance, this isometric strain creates micro-tears in the forearm tendons. This is the direct pathway to medial epicondylitis, commonly known as golfer's elbow. Your back is strong, but your wrist tendons are thin and vulnerable. Forcing them to hold heavy loads at an angle is a mechanical error. Keeping the wrist completely straight allows the force to transfer directly through the elbow to the back. In biomechanics, your hands are hooks, not levers. These are the movement patterns that explained chronic forearm pain.
Shrugging the scapula during lateral raises. To build wider shoulders, people raise the dumbbells as high as possible. At the top of the movement, they shrug their shoulders upward toward their ears. They believe this extra range of motion stimulates the side deltoids. The anatomy of the shoulder joint says otherwise. Shrugging shifts the work away from the shoulder and onto the upper trapezius. More importantly, it compresses the subacromial space. The humerus bone pinches the supraspinatus tendon against the acromion process. This repetitive pinching leads to subacromial impingement syndrome. Over time, the rotator cuff inflames and weakens. Wide shoulders do not require your scapula to move upward. Keeping the shoulder blades depressed isolates the deltoids. It also protects the delicate tendons of the rotator cuff from friction.
Flaring elbows on the bench press. Flaring the elbows out at a 90-degree angle is a common bench press habit. Many believe it isolates the pectorals better. The mechanical reality is dangerous. A 90-degree angle forces the shoulder joint into extreme internal rotation under load. This alignment reduces the subacromial space to its absolute minimum. The rotator cuff tendons are trapped and rubbed against bone with every repetition. Furthermore, the anterior deltoids and clavicular joints are forced to absorb the mechanical shock at the bottom. The shoulder joint is a ball and socket, but it is not designed to load heavy weight in this position. Tucking the elbows to a 45-degree angle shifts the load to the sternal pectorals. It also provides a safer path of movement. It keeps the humeral head centered in the socket, preventing chronic shoulder wear.
Bouncing at the deep point of squats. Using the stretch reflex to bounce out of the bottom of a squat is a common lifting technique. Lifters believe it builds explosive power and helps them lift heavier loads. Biomechanical analysis reveals a different truth. At the lowest point of a squat, the knee joint is at its most vulnerable angle. Bouncing creates a sudden spike in kinetic energy at the exact moment the quadriceps are stretched. This force is not absorbed by the muscle fibers. It is transferred directly to the patellar tendon and the meniscus cartilage. This sudden eccentric shock causes cumulative micro-tears in the knee tendons. It also wears down the protective cartilage of the knee. Stopping the bounce forces the muscles to generate force from a dead stop. It removes the momentum and keeps the tension on the muscle tissue, saving the joint.
Valgus knee collapse under load. When pushing up from a heavy squat, many lifters allow their knees to cave inward. This valgus collapse is often ignored as a temporary movement error. In biology, it is a structural disaster. Knees caving inward creates a severe lateral shear force on the knee joint. The human knee is designed to move back and forth, not side to side. This inward rotation stretches the medial collateral ligament beyond its anatomical limits. It also forces the patella to track incorrectly, grinding against the femur cartilage. This is the origin of patellofemoral pain syndrome, often called runner's knee. It is caused by weak hip abductors failing to keep the femur aligned with the foot. Pushing the knees outward during the lift ensures the load is distributed evenly. It keeps the knee joint stable and protects the ligaments from tear.
Hyperextending and locking knees on leg press. Locking the knees at the top of the leg press or squat is a habit many use to rest between reps. Lifters believe this bone-on-bone lockout is a safe resting position. The biomechanical reality is terrifying. When you lock your knees, the load is completely removed from the quadriceps muscle. The weight is transferred directly to the patellar tendon, the meniscus, and the cruciate ligaments.
Under heavy leg press loads, this hyperextension forces the knee joint to bend backward. This structural shift can cause catastrophic ligament failure. Even without a sudden tear, the constant compression grinds down the knee cartilage over time. Stopping just short of full lockout keeps the tension on the muscle fibers. It ensures that your skeleton is not forced to bear the weight alone. Your muscles are designed to hold the load, not your joints.
Swinging hip momentum during bicep curls. Using momentum and hip drive to swing the weight up on bicep curls is a classic gym habit. Many believe that lifting heavier weights with momentum is superior for growth. The anatomy of the bicep tendon contradicts this. Swinging the weight removes the tension from the biceps during the crucial concentric phase. Even worse, it forces the bicep tendon to absorb a violent eccentric shock at the bottom. When the heavy dumbbell drops, the biceps tendon must catch the load from a stretched position. This sudden stretch under high load leads to distal biceps tendinitis or tendon tears. Additionally, the swinging motion forces the lower back to hyperextend, compressing the lumbar spine. Performing the curl with locked elbows and a stable torso isolates the biceps. It removes the danger of tendon rupture and chronic back pain.
Rounding the lower spine on deadlifts. Rounding the spine during heavy deadlifts is a common habit seen in almost every gym. Some believe that a slight round allows for a shorter pull distance. The biological reality is a herniation risk. When the spine is neutral, the load is distributed evenly across the muscles of the back. Rounding the lower spine shifts the weight from the muscles to the spinal discs and ligaments. Under high load, the spinal discs are squeezed like water balloons. The jelly-like nucleus of the disc is pushed backward against the spinal nerves. This compression is the direct cause of herniated discs and sciatica. Once a disc herniates, the structural integrity of the spine is permanently compromised. Keeping the spine flat ensures the load is borne by the erector spinae and glute muscles. Your spine is a structural column, not a crane. Your skeleton is the framework of your body, but your muscles are the engine.
To stop hurting your joints, you must eliminate these destructive lifting habits. Once the biomechanics are explained, the correction becomes simple. Train the muscle, not the joint. Your biology will thank you.